It's a stone-cold stunner wrestling fans thought they would never see. Vince McMahon, the head of the WWE, is out. McMahon is stepping down following a report from the Wall Street Journal that he paid more than $12 million to 4 women to cover up allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity. McMahon says he's cooperating with investigators. Joining me now is Dave Meltzer, the editor of WrestlingObserver.com. Dave, thanks so much for being with us. I mean, there's not a bigger figure in professional wrestling these days as the man who is at the top of that empire, Vince McMahon himself. Do you get the sense that his stepping down is going to be enough to prevent further damage to the WWE, which, as you know, is, I mean, this is just a monster moneymaker here in the U.S.?
I don't expect, I mean, so much of the revenue is guaranteed, so I don't really expect from a financial standpoint that there's going to be much damage. I mean, from an image standpoint, I mean, certainly there's been, you know, the negative stuff, and there may still come, more may come out, but with him being out of the, no longer the head of the company, the damage will probably be minimal. It'd be kind of like, okay, like a lot of companies where the head of the company had to step out, but the company continues.
And McMahon released a statement on Friday which reads in part, "I am extremely confident in the continued success of WWE, and I leave our company in the capable hands of an extraordinary group of superstars, employees, and executives. As the majority shareholder, I will continue to support WWE in any way I can." We should note Vince's daughter, Stephanie McMahon, is going to be one of the co-CEOs. Do you think Vince McMahon will continue to call the shots behind the scenes, like one of those wrestling segments you might see? I could just see him on the phone behind the scenes, working the phones, calling in the next move and so on.
I mean, you never know. It's kind of a weird thing because, it is a publicly traded company and everything. But, it is, his daughter is co-CEO. His son-in-law is probably going to end up with a lot of power. So his influence will be there. He is the largest shareholder in the company, largest stockholder. So it'll be interesting to see if he remains on the board of directors. That's another thing, because that's the one thing that hasn't been addressed yet. But I think that there will be influence there, but I also think it is the beginning of a new era in some ways. I mean, Vince was going to have to step down at some point anyway, just with the age factor and everything like that. And if he stayed, it would be very embattling for the company because, what would sponsors say? What do the networks say if these stories keep coming out? So it was one of those things where it, I don't know if it was inevitable, but it was, it's a shock that it happened. But when you think about it, it's not as big. It's not that big of a shock after all the things that have come out in the last month.
Well, Dave, I mean, I grew up in the era of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage and Andre the Giant. I mean, and Vince McMahon has been there for all those years since. It's just incredible the run that he's had. 40 years. He's both the real life
40 years
owner, but
running
also
and 51 years, as far as 52 years probably, as far as being in the business, starting as a local promoter.
Yeah, and he's also an on-screen presence as the billionaire bad guy boss. We've seen him from time to time in that role. In the case of the Wall Street Journal report, though, about paying women millions of dollars to cover up these quote-unquote allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity, was any of this known in a company that, I mean, do you think this was well known inside this company that has been a family business for so many years?
I mean, as far as Vince McMahon's womanizing, it's been known since the 80s. As far as paying off, these payoffs, I didn't know about that until, a month ago when it first came out in the Wall Street Journal. As far, it's funny because that is, whether it's rock business or, business or whatever, and you have a lot of wild guys on the road, there's the idea that maybe things have been done to protect talent. Yeah. But Vince himself, I can't say I was not aware of these payoffs. So when they first came out, and there was many of them, it wasn't a shock. I mean, because there's been payoffs in other situations, with the company and everything like that. But I didn't know, that was involved Vince and John Laurinaitis, who was the, head of talent relations, who also looks to be out, although that hasn't been officially said.
All right. Dave Meltzer, thanks very much. We'll stay in touch with you as this case develops. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.